The queen sacrifice in chess, arguably the prettiest move in chess. I'm going to show you guys a few positions where we have to sacrifice the queen in order to win the game. I'm going to show you what patterns to look out for to know that a potential queen sack is in the cards, so you can get out there and start sacrificing your queen too. Probably incorrectly and unsound, but sacrifice your queen nonetheless. Anyway, let's dive in. Okay, in this first puzzle, how do we know to sacrifice the queen? Well, spoiler alert, we're going to sacrifice the queen because I just went over that in the intro. So how do we know when to sacrifice the queen? Well, here's when, calculation comes in handy, but also pattern recognition. So you'll see that vertically we have a potential ladder mate with the rooks. Now we see that because we have the rook taking off this square, the knight taking off this square, so the king cannot run away this way. So if we ever check the king with the rook, the king would have to come to the last rank, and then we would have checkmate. So then if we do a little, that's kind of like how we should spot patterns like this. That's how we should spot the pattern. Then after we spot the pattern, because there's a lot going on in chess, that's why pattern recognition is very helpful, then we can start diving in and start calculating to confirm what we might think. And here it's pretty simple. The queen's going to take, knight takes, rook takes. So I'm just going to show you. Rook takes, king has to come here, and then we have check. Well, it's going to be checkmate because this rook is defended by the knight, so the king can't come back. Only move is the block, and then we have checkmate. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why the queen is so valuable. Ironically, because sometimes it's very easy for her to sacrifice herself at the right time. You know, she embeds herself in the position, and at the right time, in the meantime, she's setting up all the other pieces, and then she helps deliver checkmate by force. So in this position, how do we know? Again, it all comes down to pattern recognition. If you know all the squares are taken around the king, if the rook was here and there was no queen or pawn, it would actually be checkmate. Well, the queen can come back, but after the queen takes, it would be checkmate. So knowing that, it's pretty easy to come up with the solution to this. It's queen takes, and then we just slide the rook over. The queen blocked, as I mentioned before, and then we take the queen, and there's no squares for the king. It's almost like a back rank mate, but it's on the side of the board. It's kind of like so we'll call it a side rank mate, but it's the same concept. Okay, here. So in this position, the queen was already sacrificed for us, right? So the computer's like, we'll give you a position where we already sacrificed the queen, make it easier for you guys. But here, I think it's pretty simple. Now we have no choice. We have to dive in. So black in this position sacked the queen here, because we have check, and then we have checkmate. So we're just clearly just taking away key squares here. So if we go on to the next video, the next position. Okay, so what do you see here? So we have a double attack on the rook on G1, but the rook is defending and the king is defending. We also have to notice that the queens are touching each other. Well, not touching each other, but looking in the same direction as each other. We also want to see what I mentioned before. What I mentioned before in the first video, pattern recognition, right? So if we start looking at all these patterns, right, which we have to, we're eventually going to see something that works. Now, I don't see anything that works with a double attack because, again, white's defending. This discovered attack, the queen's defended by the pawn, so it's not really a true discovered attack. However, we have the same pattern as the first position. We have a ladder mate pattern. This rook's taken off the second to last rank. This rook can slide over and deliver checkmate. The problem is the pawn's there. Well, let's get rid of it. And then we slide the rook over, checkmate. So again, when you're thinking in patterns, a lot of times these moves will just pop out at you. And that's pretty much what we want to get to. Now here, this is another easy one, I think. Now it's easy for me not because I'm so good, but because I've played so many chess games and I've worked on my calculation and pattern recognition. So the point is the pawn is taking away these two squares and white's own pawn is taking away the square on G2. So basically white is susceptible to back rank checkmates when this is the case. So that's the pattern we want to be looking at. We want to be thinking of back rank checkmate when we know that, when we pick up on these little things. So with that in mind, how do we force it? Now, some players might do this, but again, white has an attack of their own, and white's going to attack us some way, and might checkmate us first. So we have to do things in the quickest way possible. We also have to notice that the bishop's coming in here. So it's pretty clear to me that we take the knight here, and now we throw in a check. The king has to go into the corner, and then we have a back rank checkmate. Let's take a look at this problem. All right, this one might be a little bit more difficult. So because it's hard to even sacrifice the queen in this position. Very good problem. Very hard to sacrifice the queen. So in this position, I'm looking at check. The king goes here, and then check, and then checkmate. So again, it's just a matter of a back rank checkmate. Again, this is all, these look advanced to you guys. You might miss this in a real life game, but it's all basics. It's back rank checkmate. So if you look at this, look at it like this, the 3 squares in front of the king are taken away. The knight's taking away these 2, and black's own knight's taking away this one. So all we have to do is throw in a check, bounce the king off here to d8. Then all we're doing is delivering a back rank checkmate. If these were 3 pawns, I guarantee you would find the move. And it's the same concept. So try to look at things in squares and concepts, and you'll be able to find stronger moves more routinely. All right, so in this last position we're going to go over, let's take a look at this. Okay, again, what's the pattern here? What's the mating pattern that is potential here, right? So you're playing a chess game. You want to look at, you want to try to spot patterns. What's the mating pattern here? Again, it's the same thing. It's a back rank checkmate. It's on the side of the board, so if you want to call it, it's the same concept. It's a back rank issue. So the point is, the knight is taking away this square, and the pawn's taking away this square for the king. It's also good to note the knight's taking away this square. So these 3 squares are taken away from the king. So again, what do you think you do? When you think of it like that, again, if these were 3 pawns here, there couldn't be a pawn here, but you get my drift. Let's say a rook and 2 pawns, I think you'd find this move much easier. Here we have check. If the knight takes, it's automatically checkmate. So what's going to happen is the knight's going to come back, but then we sacrifice and bring the rook over. So check, the knight's going to come back, as I said, and now we have checkmate because the knight guards this square. So again, if you look at it in squares, it's much easier to see. These 3 squares are taken. So kind of put them in red in your head if you can, and that rhymed. And then you will take away all the squares. You'll start seeing the patterns that much easier. I guarantee it. If you like this video, make sure you check out this one. Also very helpful. Get out of here. Go play some chess.